session. This is all about academic coaching. And it's just the tools that you can use to help your students. You need to be familiar with them so you can help your students access these very important tools that we offer here at the university. And we have 3 presenters this morning. The first one is Clayton Bisker from the library. He'll be first up. And he will talk to you a lot about how to access online library resources. And this is extremely important for your students, of course, because they don't come to campus very often, if ever. So we have some really great things that you'll hear from him. The second presenter is Jessica Ferguson, our Assistant Director for Advising, and you all know her probably from your contacts with her and your students. She's going to be talking about Smart Thinking, our online tutor service that we are in the process of learning more about. As we told the last session, that Smart Thinking has been around here at Northwest for about a year, but we didn't know much about it until recently, and we're very excited about the tools that are available to you and your students, and we think it's going to be a huge help for you this coming year. The last speaker is Ashley Hess. She is our Assistant Director for Curriculum, and she works a lot with the instructors. She also does monitors textbooks, so we had a lot of questions in the first session here about textbooks, so she's going to be on point about that. So, okay, Clayton, take it away.
Okay, hi, good morning. Let's, at 10 a.m. in the morning, talk about library research. Round of applause for the library. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to talk at you for a little bit, and please at any point interrupt me and tell me what the needs of your students are, so that I can kind of direct what I'm talking about, because I don't want to just go on and on and on about that. But the main thing that I want to get across this morning is that the library is there to support you in every way we possibly can in terms of academic success and research. And we have the stuff that you guys want your students to use. It's just a matter of finding it, right? So right off the bat, I was made aware this is really cool. Last week, I met with the Church Partnership Program office, and they compiled this really great list of textbooks that your students use that we have access to via ebooks in the library. And of all of the classes that are offered through the Church Partnership Program, the Indian Library owns about 80% of them in e-format. So that's really cool. So currently we don't have that master list for you, but what would be really neat for you would be to, like, if your students have any questions about this, they could just ask you or contact the library, and we can just do a quick search, and more than likely at 80% we have their books that they need. And on top of that, those books are accessible by multiple users, not just one single book. So like in the case of a print book, if your students were to walk into the library, grab a book and check it out, they have that now. Hi, welcome. And nobody else gets to use it. But ebooks are a lot different because we purchase a multiple user option on the majority of our books. And that means that everyone can use them all the time. So every one of your students could use that. Now, of course, this isn't going to be every book for you in the room that teach in more theology, Bible. How many of you is that? Theology, Bible. Okay, these publishers are really stingy? Yeah. Is that the word? Yeah. Yeah, and they want everyone to buy these books. They're poor. Yeah, they're poor. And so I tried to go this week. I was looking at getting some of these ebooks, and I couldn't find them available for libraries. So, anyways, let's just get started. Real quick before I get going, can someone tell me how much time I have?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. So I'm going to stop at 25.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. Or maybe a little bit before.
Maybe a little bit before.
Okay.
I think we're running behind.
Or whatever that clock says.
1/8 overnight.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit before. Okay, my second question was, what are some ways that you're having your students use the library, or are you familiar with the library? First of all, are you familiar with the library?
Gave it a go, and I had no idea what was happening.
Not a lot of
Great.
success.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, well, let's just go over it real quick. On the main page, you'll see a basic search bar that looks a lot like Google, and you can type whatever you want into this thing. That doesn't mean you'll get the result that you want, but you can type. Real quick, if you're doing searching, this is kind of slightly technical, but not too hard to remember. If you're doing searching for account, did I spell it correctly? Nope. This is a textbook that some of you may use. You can type the title in, and you'll get a result with that because it's a pretty good search. For the most part, if you're searching the main search bar, you can't put in long, drawn-out, like semicolons and colons and stuff like that into the search bar. You kind of have to narrow it down a little bit. If you know the exact title of your textbook or book that you want your student to use, you can simply put this in quotation marks and make sure you spell it correctly, because that does an exact word search. So if you're like, I know this is the book, let's do it, I want to see if we have it, put it in quotes, and you'll get the searches. However, if you misspell it, it will come back with no results because you're searching for the exact phrase using the quotes. Another way to do this, should have re-typed that, is to use our advanced search, and you can simply do a title search. And type in your title, and there you go. When you do a search on the library, let's just do that. By default, the library is searching print books, ebooks, journals, and articles. And for the most part, when you do your searching, you're going to come across ebooks. Maybe not for all of the Bible stuff for the issue that we talked about earlier, but that is because our library has access to over approximately 300,000 ebooks compared to the 50,000 print books that are sitting down in our library, and the articles dwarf that by a lot. I mean, millions upon millions of articles. Now, I don't know how, are any of you having your students do article searches? Is this happening?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if I am searching the library website, I can do it from this search box, and I can go down here and I can click article. And that filters out everything and gives me access, and all I have to do is click access online to read this. This filters out everything, and I can also select peer reviewed, which, peer reviewed means it's been reviewed by others in the same academic field, of course. Good academic research for your students. On this page also, you can see a couple buttons. Someone made me aware in the last session that some links maybe haven't been working from the syllabi. Have you encountered this? Like broken links, stuff like that? Okay, if you're ever going to put a link to an article or whatever in your syllabi, which maybe you don't do. I don't know if you do this. Anyways, click the record link here under share. So I go share, record link, and this gives me a permalink, which is basically a fancy word for this link works in any browser on any device. So if you've ever tried to send something like via text and it doesn't work, possibly you don't have the permalink, this link will always work, always. So you don't have to worry about any broken links.
And let me just speak, sorry, for a second
Yes.
about, if your students are in a syllabi and they come across a link that doesn't work, that's something that just happens very often because of the turnover of the internet and things changing websites and things like that. So the best thing for them to do is either contact their professor. Actually, that really is the best thing for them to do. Or they can contact the campus office as well, or one of you guys can. And that's something we're doing every day, just trying to make sure that our syllabi are streamlined, and we'll definitely get on that for you.
Okay, cool. The other really cool feature here is the citation generator. So you can just click Cite, choose your citation format, and citation pops up right there. Students can cut and paste that into their papers, and this data is 99% accurate. What you'll want to make sure you check is capitalization and punctuation for the citations for, APA or MLA and works cited or bibliography. And that's that. The other useful tools that we have, so that's kind of the basic search. You can do a search and then use filters on the left side of the page once you get to that page to kind of like narrow what you're doing.
Can you show how to find ebooks?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do, I always can't ever think of something to search.
Oh,
Let's do education. That's,
or you could just do the name of the book.
name of the book?
Like, yeah, because for ours, like sometimes they're looking for a specific, like for the biblical interpretation class, they have certain books that they can use for
Do you know
their
which one that is?
sources. What the books are?
Yeah, do you know what the book is?
Oh, gosh. You could just put that Old Testament book in again and see if there's an ebook.
There is not an ebook for that one. I happen to know that.
I'm trying to think of what to do.
Do like a,
Oh, I know one.
Virgin Calling.
Pocket Dictionary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go, perfect.
That
Yeah.
has one. Okay, you guys use this, I think. So right off the bat, that pulled up the result really quickly. But if you want, you can just go down and limit by ebook right over here. Can you see where I'm clicking? I don't know
Okay.
how bright that is.
Oh,
Just click ebook.
and what if you could just click book? Will it do both?
It does do both.
Okay.
Yep.
I get it. Oh, I get it, okay.
Yep, and then you can just click access online, log in using your NU email address and password, and you have access. Downloading ebooks is kind of tricky, but reading them in your browser is simple. I mean, you just click on it. You can do search within, which is really nice. So if you're looking for a specific passage in the book, this is an obvious benefit to ebooks. And of course, all of your students have access to ebooks because they're never here. So that's that. Yeah, you can mess around with the filters. There's lots of stuff here. You can limit by last 5 years, authors, publications, all sorts of stuff.
So is there like some kind of tutorial we should send students to learn this, or do we just pull it up and teach it to them? Like,
You know what? I'll tell you this. Today I'm finishing this. I'm making a video that is like, it's basically kind of an online orientation, which is
great.
like, here's what you do if you want ebooks. And I'm going to finish that today. I'll email it to the CPP staff,
Awesome.
and we'll probably post it on our
oh,
website.
that's great.
Yes.
So like for some of our students who, have to write exegesis or something like
Yep.
that, and they need, concordance, they
Yep.
need, those things. Is that stuff that's available online in
No.
the ebook format? Okay.
I wish.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the exact kind of resource that I would love. Reference titles really should be online, but again, the publishers are restricting that right now, so, yeah. So I don't know what you have access to. Obviously, if your students are semi-close, they're more than welcome to come use the library here. But I don't know how else to get, the public library probably doesn't have an extensive Bible concordance. So where are you? Where's your student?
I'm in Sacramento.
Sacramento, okay, so,
But there's a local Bible college that we just go to.
the NU,
No, the NU, I don't even know if they even have a library in that.
they do, yeah, I send them
Okay.
commentaries all the time.
We go to William Jessup University.
Okay, they probably have that too, yeah, definitely. Okay, other resources that we have on the library website that would be applicable to you are databases. So for any of you who are having your students do articles for your papers, they can do more extensive searches in our databases. That main library search is not as comprehensive simply because library algorithms are not as good as Google. So it can't sweep literally everything like Google can. But our databases do a pretty good job. If you're looking at this page like, okay, which database would I possibly want to use here? You can go back here and just go to our subject guides under research and click your category of interest, and there you go. These are all of the resources that you might find useful for your field of study. Basically, that's a really helpful place to start.
Yeah.
Aside from this, we offer many tutorials And these are all videos that I'm going to make too, so this is going to appeal to your students quite a bit, I think. But like how to evaluate a source. So I go over like, here's how we figure out how to do a credible source and make sure it's coming from a correct thing. And here's why you don't want to use a Facebook article in your paper, yada yada.
What was that under?
Oh, that was under evaluate sources, under our tutorials. And I'll show you how to get there real quick. Right on the main page, tutorials.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep,
Oh, we could use those like for study hall. Or
absolutely. Yeah.
Wait till you hear about smart thinking.
I think that's probably good for me. That's really quick. I have a really quick overview, but are there any other questions that I can answer before I'm done?
What are the study rooms?
Study rooms are for reserving study rooms in this library. So if you're near campus, just click on that, click reserve, and you can.
Can our students like call you?
Oh, yes, of course.
Most important part.
Yes, okay, all of our
I can't
contact
figure out what to
information.
do or.
Every page, I don't know if that's gonna fall off anyway, no, it won't. Anyways, on the main library website, you can see the blue bar up here has all of our contact information. I wrote my email here, that's probably too small to see. But you can also email library@northwestU.edu and any of our librarians can answer your questions. If your students have questions at 3 a.m. the night before their paper is due, which I'm sure happens all the time, they can click the chat button and a librarian from anywhere in the world will pick this up and help your students answer their research needs. So we man this when our library is open. I think, are most of you in this time zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like usually till 11:30 at night, although not during the summer, we close early, but during the main school year, we're open pretty late. So you'll get a Northwest University librarian, but if not, you will get someone that can help students with whatever questions they have. They have access to all of our back doors and everything. They can get in and answer most everything. Our phone contact information is here. You are more than welcome to call us anytime, and of course, email. So,
They see your name.
yes, here is my email address and ridiculous job description, title.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Yeah.
At the Sacramento campus?
Yes.
Do you know if our CPP students can actually check out books?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's housed under the Northwest University thing, so. Good? Great. That wasn't too bad. We got through talking about library in the morning. Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Queen.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sit in for this one here.
Oh yeah, I have lots of Okay. So I'm going to be talking about Smart Thinking, which is our online tutoring service. All of your students have access to it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will be somebody there to help them. So they can access it through their classes. So if you're taking online courses through the NU Online platform, which Ashley will show you a little bit later, and then if they're taking a live course through their Discovery Learning Management System, it's located in the syllabus. So they have access to it. So I also give you guys a couple handouts here. These will be put into the coordinator handbook that Becca was talking about yesterday. They'll be at the very back under resources, and there's a hyperlink up here to the website too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And so this is what your students will see. They'll have to log in with their Northwest email address and password. Alright, so when they log in, this is what they're going to see. So the first part here says, welcome to Smart Thinking. These are the basic services you have available. So working with a tutor is where you actually get to work one-on-one in a live drop-in session. And the subjects that are covered are on your handout on the front. And then if you flip to the second page, there's more detail on those main subjects. So math, science, some business is in there, writing such as grammar, punctuation, things like that. A little bit of computer, some stuff like that. So that's all in more detail on the back. So that's what working with a tutor is. Submitting a question, that is not a live session. What you do is you type in, it's kind of like a chat, you send it, and then within 24 hours you get a response to your question. Another thing, excuse me, is submit my writing. So this is the writing center. So it's also available up here, but if they click here, this is where the student can submit their paper for two different things. So the writing center, the tutor will go through it for the specified things that you're asking for. So if you want some help with content or paragraph structure or things like that, so you can list out what you want help with. And the tutor will send back not only feedback on your paper, but also a 2-page document that pulls out excerpts from your paper, has lists of resources to use to help strengthen those parts of your paper, as well as some beneficial remarks of, hey, you did really good on this, you might want to tweak this. So it sandwiches those critiques with some compliments in there too. And then here, the grammar and documentation review, that is just more of an editing type thing. So you submit it there, they will be looking for grammar, punctuation, sentence structure, all that fun stuff, okay? So go ahead.
Who is the one that's like on the other side of the editing? Is it professors?
So Smart Thinking Tutor, it's outside, so we're outsourced
Okay.
with a company called Smart Thinking. Their tutors go through an extensive hiring process.
Okay.
90% of their tutors have an advanced degree or more.
Sweet. Okay.
So these are people that have been vetted, trained, they're gonna know what they're talking about.
They're not robots.
I haven't encountered one yet, I've used it myself,
Yeah.
and so far so good. Yes. please.
Yeah, I actually have a question about this.
Yeah.
Is this service that is specifically geared towards CPP students, or is this all online?
This is campus-wide.
Campus-wide?
It started out under Amy Jones's, our academic
Yeah.
success, and it's slowly transitioning to CAPS because
Great.
94% of the students that use it are non-traditional. So
Cool.
our adult evening, our CPP, all those ones.
Good to know.
But trads still do have access.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so something I wanted to emphasize. So your students, as Northwest University students, get 10 hours of tutor access.
Oh,
Okay? So very few people have used it up, but those who have, all they need to do is contact us and we can divvy up more hours. So we have a set package, and since we're increasing how many students are using this, we're looking into expanding that package. So if
is
they
that
ever run
per
out,
class?
that is per year.
Per year.
So very few people have used it. We just experienced the first person that did. They just contacted us and we divvied out a few more hours for
Oh,
them.
right, okay.
So it's a really simple thing, nothing to freak out about. All right. So any tutoring session, the writing center, math, drop-in, live sessions, any of those kinds of things will use up some of their time. It's normally done in increments of minutes. So those things will use up time. However, there are resources on here that do not use up time. So that's what I'm going to look at right now. So the first one is called Study Aids. And this works really great with what the library has, but there's also some available here. So the general resources here, two of my favorite ones that I just recently learned about are the Smart Thinking Writer's Handbook. This has anything and everything your students need to know about writing.
Wow.
The Smart Thinking tutors will reference something in here in their critiques of the paper. So if there's something where they need to work on paragraph structure or their abstract was weak, they'll put a notation in there, section 2, lesson 18 of the writer's handbook. This is what they're referring to, okay? But students can access this at any point if they want to preemptively work on something that they know they're weak in, okay?
that's cool.
And back out, they also have a Smart Thinking Study Skills Handbook. So it has some methods on active listening, note-taking, prepping for tests, when to study, where to study, setting up good habits to be successful in the semester.
This was under study aid.
It's under study aids, and that's all in here too, for you.
Are these the study aids that if they have less than a 2.5 GPA that they're required to go through?
They're not required to go through these ones specifically. I'll be talking more about that in the academic success coaching.
Okay.
But these are extremely good resources. I mean, I was a better student in college than some students, but I even accessed these because I went back to get my master's after almost 10 years. So I needed to relearn a few things. Okay, so the next part I'm super excited about because I just learned that they have a new feature. It's called group sessions, okay, and that's under the tutoring. So this is a really good service to be used for study groups. So I know some of our CPP partners are smaller in size, so you guys may not be able to have an on-ground tutor like some of our larger sites are. So this is a way where your students can gather in a place online and they have access to a digital one of these, to a whiteboard. So they can upload documents, they can draw, they can write, they can do whatever they want to interact with each other, not only at your CPP, but they can invite other people from their class. So if they're working on something or a bunch of them are struggling in an area, somebody from Cedar Park can be working with somebody from Las Vegas or from Sacramento or something like that. So it's really cool. That does not use up their time. So take advantage of this. Another cool feature about this that does use up some,
Does it list out like current ones that are open and available for people to join into, or is it something you have to be invited to?
This is something that you have to be invited to. Okay. So what it'll do is it generates a link here. Let's see here. So running sessions here. So you'll have access to the ones that the NU students do down here. So if you scroll down to the bottom, if there's any active right now, they should be listed here. If not, normally they're set up in live time. So any students that are wanting to do it are already arranging this themselves, but they will be listed at the bottom. Okay. So with that, so that does not use up time.
If they're just along with the student groups themselves.
Correct. If it's just the students meeting on this platform, it doesn't use up time. If the students decide to invite a tutor into the session, which they can do, that's what these choose a discipline here, writing, business, all those. If they click on this, they can invite a tutor into their study group.
What if it's a class that doesn't fit into another tutor, choose one like writing probably? Like say it's a Bible class.
So this system does not have a lot of tutoring in Bible subjects. So you're not necessarily going to find somebody that can help with that.
Oh, I see. There's a tutor on too. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. I mean, if you have somebody, say if you have somebody at your church or somebody that teaches a live Bible, they can join. They can be invited to join. But that wouldn't use up because they're not a tutor.
They're not a paid tutor.
They're not a paid tutor by Smart Thinking.
Okay.
So the only things that use up your time is if you use your Smart Thinking employee.
So can you say, we're gonna book a writing whiteboard session, I'll be the tutor, and hey, Smart Thinking, thanks for nothing, we just wanna use your whiteboard. Like, we don't need a tutor.
Correct.
There's a way to say
So if
that.
you just use the group session with your students and somebody from your church or whoever, that does not use up time.
Okay.
It's as soon as you take a Smart Thinking employee and put them in there. They will
Okay.
use up your
That
time.
makes sense.
Okay? So you bring them in. What's cool about that though, is if you do bring in a Smart Thinking, say if you need somebody with math or science or something like that, the time spent with that tutor is divided among however many people are in that group.
Oh, nice.
So it's not who created the group that gets all the hours sucked out. It's divided among however many are in there. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? So I just want to cover the basics here. I'm the point of contact for anything you have with Smart Thinking. So please feel free to email. My contact information is on the CPP website. So Jessica Herpison is my name. This other handout I gave you is just kind of an easy access kind of thing, so it reminds you where you can find the link, what each thing on the main website of Smart Thinking does. So how to access the study aids, tutorials, any of that fun stuff. Okay? So that one was kind of a flyby. Any questions?
So when we send I'm sorry, is there a hand behind
Oh,
me?
Jean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my question
Yeah,
was,
go ahead.
is there gonna be, because we wound up dropping back and doing more online.
Mhm.
Is there, how do we really plug our students in? Is there like training options or, you know, at Northwest where they could come for a session on learning the library or learning, what options are there?
Well, that would fall under the orientation that we'll talk about a little bit in another session that you guys give. But also, if they have questions or things like that, I mean, all of us have office hours. Clayton's at the library. There's librarians that
So they
have
just have
I'm
an
here.
appointment with you and you
They
walk
can
them
totally,
through
yeah.
this
If they are
one-on-one
struggling with
so they can
anything,
make-
yeah. There's somebody here on staff that can help them. So if they're struggling, please let us know because we want them to take advantage of these resources. And did you have a question? Or did this-
I was just gonna say, I'm always telling my students to use the Writing Center,
Mhm.
but is this where they would end up if they click on Writing Center on their class? There's usually a hyperlink to Writing Center, isn't there?
Yeah, so I'll show you in a second on any online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we go over that? Were there any other questions? No? Okay. Again, if you think of any other ones, just send me an email and I will be happy to answer.
Okay, again, my name is Ashley, and as Bev mentioned, I work with the curriculum and all the syllabi, so I try to make sure everything is streamlined. But I also work directly with the online interface, so NU Online, and let me get on here real quick. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about that, because as monitors, you have access to see everything that your students are doing. And just so that you're aware, oh, nice.
Wrong eagle.
That's why I can't talk and type at the same time. Okay. Just so that you're aware, you know, I'll just mention FERPA because all of you guys have access to see what all of our students online do. It's just the easiest way for us to be able to give you access. So what we expect is that you're looking up all of your students. So I'll try to show you a little bit of what you might want to see what your students are doing. So the easiest way, just for you to know, to get to NU Online, as well as Discovery, because if you're running any live classes, then those classes will be housed on Discovery. So on Eagle, you guys are all familiar with Eagle. Up here under Courses, you'll find Discovery, so that's for live classes. When you open it up, it looks a little bit like this, so you'll sign in. And then if you open Courses Online Campus, that'll direct you to nuonline.northwestu.edu. And I'll sign in, and you will see a little bit more here than you'll see than what you'll see when you sign in, because I'm an admin and you guys are monitors. But you'll get the idea anyway. Alright, so this is what you'll see when you sign in. And you'll probably just see student announcements, but that's perfect because that's what your students will see. Just tells you a little bit about what's going on in the online campus world. For example, right now we're reminding students when they're turning in a paper, they use Turnitin and they can view their professor's feedback and get comments about that. You as monitors will be able to see feedback from professors on your students' papers. So that's really nice. You can see what they're working on, what their professors are saying about them. On this front page also, if you click on Online Tutor, that goes straight to Smart Thinking. So they always have access to that. So that's a great place to remind them, just right on the welcome page. Alright, so when you're thinking about students and how you're going to monitor students, there's a couple ways to do it. Number one, if you know that you have a group of students that's in the same course, you can look by course. You're going to go to Dashboard. And there's a whole worksheet called Monitoring Student Activity that's going to be on Eagle on the CPP page. So if you get done with this and you're like, I can't remember exactly, no problem. Just go onto Eagle and there's a guide there for you. So if you want to find a course, you're going to go under Dashboard and Courses. And it will have listed all the courses that are currently running. In this case, I'm just going to go to a sample course. The one thing I will mention is that currently we're working on it, but currently it doesn't have the class name, so you'll have to know the class code. But hopefully in the future we'll have the name as well. But it will help that the professor is here, so you can see the class title, the professor, and how many are in that class. So I'm going to go into the sample course. And when you go into the course, you'll find that there's a news page, which is really great because you can see how the professor is interacting with the students. And you might see something, maybe a link is not working and you're not sure why. It's possible that a professor has already knows about it and has said something to the students. Or if not, again, you can email the professor or us and we're happy to take care of that. If you go to course guide, these are each of their weeks. So you can go into each week and find the assignments for that week and know what's going on. You can also go straight into assignments and find the entire list of assignments for the whole semester. Again, this looks a little bit different because it's a sample course. And then if you went into the class and you wanted to see all your students, your first place to start is students. And this will give you all the students in the class. So you would just try to find specifically your students. But even just this snapshot gives you a lot of information. Progress tells you how much of the course they've done. Yellow means they've opened it, and green means they've actually completed something. And then their current grade. And then how many assignments they have due. And then enrolled the date is just when they were enrolled in the course. But right underneath in the small lettering, this is the last time they signed in. So this is cool because you can know how recently they've signed in, how often they've been active within the course. And then the most information you can get from this little gear right here. And probably the biggest thing you'll want, there's a few other things, timeline, when things are due, how many things they've completed. The best thing probably you're going to want to see is grades though. So you can go into each student, see what grades they've gotten. If they've completed it, it will have, or if it's been graded by the professor, it'll have a green check mark. You can also, if you go into the assignment, if the teacher has made a comment, you'll be able to see the feedback as well. And for example, this is a discussion, so you could actually read their assignment. In the case of an applied learning activity, you would be able to, well, again, this is a sample course, but you would be able to there'd be a little link here that would have their actual submission. Or if it's a Turnitin, you could go to the Turnitin as well and be able to see their feedback within Turnitin. Wow. So there's a lot to see. Let's say you just want to look at one student specifically. Instead of going to the class, you go to the welcome page. Once you sign in, you see the welcome page. You can just go to the little magnifying glass and you can just search the student. And most likely if you type in their whole name, it'll just pop their profile up. But let's say you type in their first name and there's a lot of people with that first name, it'll give you a list. And then I can just click see profile. And what's nice is it gives you an overview. So you can see the last time they logged in. You can see each class listed out, so if they're taking more than one at a time. And the same sort of thing we saw earlier on the list of students.
So quick question,
yeah.
Due,
sure.
8 things are due?
Exactly.
For the full 7 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily something to be worried about, right? Because there's a lot of assignments. Another thing to mention is if they have a missing assignment and it's past due, it will say M. Even if they've talked with their professor about turning it in late and everybody's in agreement, it will still calculate as a 0 in the grade book. So that might just be something to mention to your students, like not to panic. It's just once the professor grades it, it will then be added to. Yeah. So I know sometimes people panic about that because they're like, but wait, my teacher said, yep, it's okay.
Talk about an academic event.
Yes, thank you. So there's a couple things that you'll want to think about when monitoring your students, and you'll hear more about that in the second session about tools that Jessica will be a part of, but I'll just mention a couple. One is attendance. So it's a little bit different to take attendance in an online class. And the way that we do that is that within the first week, your student must participate in at least one academic event, and that can either be one of the 3 main activities they have each week. Every class is a little bit different, but generally there'll be a quiz, a discussion, and then an applied learning activity, which is usually a paper or some kind of interactive experience, a little bit longer, a project. So in the first week, they have to have, within the first 7 days of a course start, they have to have submitted or completed a quiz, a discussion, or an ALA to get credit for being in that first week. A practice quiz doesn't count because it doesn't have any grade or points associated with it. And then it just, in terms of late work, keeping up with your students and making sure they're turning things in on time, it is our policy that students have the responsibility to meet all deadlines. However, in extenuating circumstances, the professors are the ones who get to decide whether or not they accept late work. So that'll be a conversation that your students will want to have and know about. Generally, the professors post it on their news, the front of their news page. Oops, I'm on the wrong. So when you go into a course, just the front of the course will have all the news items. So probably towards the beginning of the class, they'll say, just so everybody knows, I don't accept late work, or I accept late work in extenuating circumstances. And they really want to make sure that they have everything in writing with their professor if they do have a situation where they need to turn in late work. And then professors will let you know kind of what their stance is on that. It is possible for them to penalize an assignment up to 20% if they do turn in late work. Yes?
If a professor posts something on that, does it send our students like an email or a notification?
Yeah, exactly. So as every time that a student or a professor, sorry, I'm going the wrong one, posts a news announcement, it will directly send an email to their student email.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's nice. They don't have to always be watching it.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that was a lot, but do you guys have any questions about how to monitor your students, things to look for, the NU online site? Yes.
Just questions about like Discovery. I know Discovery's nowhere near as in depth as this, but is there any way for us to monitor students on Discovery? I was just really confused with that.
Yeah, I definitely know there is. I don't work directly in Discovery. Do you know anything about that specifically?
So
Justin?
Discovery, we only use that for the live courses.
Right.
But in Discovery, you do have access to go into what's called the gradebook, which is a link on the side of the page. So if you go in there, it's not as easy to read as this. It's more of a grid format with the assignments in columns like this. And so if it's blank with a line through it, the student hasn't associated something. So it's really hard to tell in there. What we really encourage coordinators to do is connect their students with the live courses or even reach out to the professor themselves.
Okay.
So that's really the best way because it's not as easily read as it is online.
Sure.
So,
I'm not certain if it's normal or if it's, I know I had a new professor for the Discovery, my students did rather, but like they hadn't been graded on anything until the last week.
Right.
Nothing they turned in. Is that kind of how sometimes Discovery works?
that's more of the professor's prerogative
So,
in that point.
Yeah, and I will say it's our expectation that professors are grading timely. So if you guys ever have a problem with that or feel frustrated, please email us and we're happy to reach out to them and help you guys on that because that's a big expectation we have for our professors so that your students can get timely feedback in order to improve for every.
Okay.
So great question.
Is there a way for us to set up a notification if a student does have a missing assignment to send us an email or a notification of some kind that they have a missing assignment?
Not currently. Yeah, so that's kind of why it's great for you to be able to get in here and just keep tabs on your student and see what they're doing. Let me just show you one more way to get in. If you know the class or the student and you go into the class, if you go to Gradebook, that's the best comprehensive place. Find your student and you can see all their assignments and all their grades. So you can quickly see this student needs to turn in those things. So that's probably the easiest way I would say.
And after that first week or so, you've kind of established who is turning stuff in and who hasn't.
Right.
Part of my job too, and our student support person, is monitoring also our online students. So you'll be getting periodic emails from us at week 1, 3, and 5 of courses of students that are not participating, which you guys should already be aware of who's not participating at that point. But you can also, there's a little tiny, I'm thinking Sherlock Holmes here, what's that called?
Oh,
Magnifying glass at the top. You can type in the student's name, so if you know the problem child in your head, you can search for them specifically, and it'll bring up all the classes they're in right now, and show you that snapshot.
Yeah, that's
If
probably the
it's A's or
easiest
whatever.
way if you're thinking about a specific student, is just to search their name.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
One thing that helped us is, and that kind of had to do with my tail between my legs, I forced all of my students to do an Become My Friend on this, so that if you just go down to users and hit friends, then all your students are right there to check on them.
That's great. That's funny because I really have not used that. I'm like, I wonder if anybody uses that. So that's a great idea. Because then you have them like all in one
So
spot.
it's all right there.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Then you don't have to search them all the time. They're
But I
just
felt like a loser. Hey, you guys need to.
Well, you can
Avenues for food. What if they decline?
Great.
That's funny.
Okay, thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.